Welcome back to another episode of the Long Distance Friends podcast. My name is Liv, and it's been a while. I know that it's been literally, what has it been, 5 months, 6 months? Hey, how you doing? So, sorry about that. Depression will do it to a bitch. But anyways, so much has happened, so much to update you on, so much to talk about. And honestly, my desire to record today was non-existent, actually. I am kind of forcing myself to do this, right? I'm having to do that with a lot of things right now. I'm realizing, taking care of myself wise, which sounds really bad, but it's because I'm coming out of it. I have been unbelievably stressed for a really long period of time, and I hit a wall and crumbled, and I got really sick, and I was physically unable to really address things and take care of them myself. And then I started getting physically better and mentally not so much, and then here we are, and a lot has happened. There's so much joy in the things that have happened, but then there's a lot of things that, kind of sucked. So it's a new year. Happy 2025. We have a new Pope, Papa Leo from Chicago. So that's crazy. We're not going to talk about it though. The only thing that I will say on the Pope dying is that they, show the dead Pope in a coffin, and the people come to mourn him. But when I saw a photo of his dead body, it just, I hate seeing dead bodies. I really do. It reminded me of seeing my brother in his coffin and just being I don't want to see that, I'll leave it up to the decision of the people who, are grieving me to decide if that's what they want to see. But I wouldn't want people to see me like that, it just feels very, obviously it feels sad, but it also is just uncomfortable and traumatizing, truly, which I don't want to do. And I don't love the idea of people seeing me while I'm blue and cold. It's yucky, but I guess that's also partially the person that does the embalming and stuff of how good are they, can they make you look like you or not? So some more recent updates. Fun fact, after 3-4 years of talking to all of my doctors and therapists and all the things, I had, we're going to talk about fate. This is why. I missed a psychiatrist appointment on Tuesday. I was a little busy with work, didn't look at the time, realized I was a couple minutes late. I was oh fuck, I'm 10 minutes late. Hey, are you still available? And they were nope, sorry. I said, it's literally 10 minutes. And they said, yeah, we have a tight schedule. Which I was he showed up 3 minutes late. I can see when he started the call. Okay, yeah, right. Yeah, okay. So I miss it. I was freaking out because I was I have to talk to somebody because I have just been really struggling where it's from ovulation until I get my period, I feel like a different person. I feel like I'm out of my body. I feel fucking crazy and not in a good way. I am noticing the pattern that when I'm having nightmares and migraines and really bad intrusive thoughts of anxiety and doubt and, spiraling, it's always within that time frame. And I've been noticing it for a couple years, and I've been bringing it up, and I've been talking to my doctors about PMDD. And basically every time it was okay, well, keep monitoring and let me know if it continues. And every time it was hey, it's still continuing. What do I do? And I had a couple doctors that were well, that sucks. Okay, see you in 6 months, And so by a stroke of fate, I had such a pit that I had missed the doctor's appointment because I was I don't want to wait, another month. I'm tired of this. I just went through it. Like, I just got out of that phase. And like, there's a part of me that feels this like anxiety about going back into it because I feel badly that other people have to experience that version of me, but I also feel badly for myself because I don't like being that version, you know? I don't like feeling that way. I don't like having that like unshakable anxiety that like the only thing I can do to really treat it is knock myself out. And like that's not healthy. That's not normal. And anybody who says it's normal needs to go talk to somebody. So I was feeling this big pit and I was so nervous and I was so worried, and I reached out to their office. They were like, "Oh, he can fit you in like a month." I was like, "I can't do that. I cannot do that." And so they were like, "Hey, well, we actually like, are you okay with seeing the other doctor?" I was like, "Yeah, that's totally fine." And so I saw the other doctor with their practice, and she's new with their practice. She's lovely, and I was like, "Hey, like I know this is our first meeting, but like here's what's going on. I want to talk about treatment for it. Here's why." And she was really cool. Like she sat there and she was like, "Okay, you know, I will say like PMDD, you usually see signs of like depression, not so much anxiety." And I was like, "I get that, but like when I get my period, I feel like a new woman, really. Like I feel like I'm born again. I am motivated to do things. I'm able to get out of bed. Like I guess that kind of does overlap, but like I'm not fighting, you know, my mind as much, you know? Like I actually have the will to do things. You know, like I cleaned my house today and I went to the gym today for the first time in a couple weeks. Again, like I was sick, so give me a fucking break. But like I am working a new schedule. I'm still at the same job. And my boss quit. So I might get her job, which I don't know if I want it. I've been saying that I don't, but if it's offered to me, I'm going to take it because, you know, when opportunities come to you, you get to decide what you want to say, but I'm a firm believer that when you say yes, it opens doors, you know, and it opens windows when you're open to saying yes to the things that come your way in life. And that's not to say that you're not allowed to say no to things. I think it's very important to say no to things, but I think, you know, taking opportunities and observing them and looking at them deeply, I'm like, I can take this job, and if I don't like it, I can find another one. I say as if I haven't been job hunting for a year, and have gotten no offers. And that sucks. I have 4 years of corporate experience. I have a degree. I am very successful in the company that I'm at, and I have interviewed at a lot of places, and I have not heard back. I've been ghosted by so many. I've had so many interviews that went so well and were so promising and I was so excited about, and then I just got ghosted. And it sucks, you know? It's like I look back at it and I'm like, okay, so we're finally getting into like summer, which like I don't love the summer, all right? I'm a sweaty person. It's not my fave, but here we are. And, you know, coming out of it, of like, the world sucks, everything's tough, and it's hard to do anything. I was basically working 2 full-time jobs for the past, you know, 4 or 5 months, where it was like I was doing a lot of projects at my current job in addition to my regular scope. So I was working 10 plus hours a day every single day, and then I was also putting in 2 to 4 hours on Saturdays and Sundays, and that drained the fuck out of me. And then on top of it, I was applying to, you know, 5 jobs a day. I was interviewing twice a week. My schedule was constantly up in the air, you know? So it was like, okay, I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow. And then at 5 o'clock, I had a recruiter reach out to set up a call tomorrow at 10 a.m. And I was like, well, fuck, like, yes, I'll take it. Yes. Thank you. You know? And it was really sad. I had one, I mean, I still have it. They're working on it. You know, I have one role that they called me and they were like, listen, like with the current political changes, which like, oh my God, talk about depressing. You know, we're not able to hire anyone right now until we figure out what is happening and how it impacts us, which like, I completely understand. Thankfully, I'm in a really great place that like, it's not life or death for me to have a different job right now. Like it would make my life a lot easier to not be doing what I'm doing and not, you know, be in a higher stress role, but I've also, hit a point that like I do feel emotionally detached from it, which has really helped. But, they were like, we're working to open one specifically for you. So like, if, it's going to take a while, it's going to take a couple months, but like, we're going to try to get a job open that's just so that you can join our team because we were so impressed with you, which I was like, oh, of course you were. Who isn't? I know. Like, literally talk about the coolest girl who ever lived. Yeah, right. Of course. And it would be a pay cut and it would be a huge change of pace. But I hit the point that I was just kind of like, I just have to take something, is it going to keep the lights on and give me the energy to actually fold the 10 pounds of laundry? Like I'm sitting in my home studio right now and it is a fucking disaster. Like genuinely, I'm embarrassed with the state of this room, but I don't have it in me to fix it. I don't have it in me to, do all the steps. Now, I have recently been, again, got my period. We're good. We're happy. We're motivated. So I've mapped out, here's what I need to do to build my closet in, my primary room to be able to fit everything and be able to do everything. And, I need to switch out my winter clothes for my summer clothes, which then I go through it and I'm like, what fucking clothes? I don't have clothes. I have 2 gigantic tubs of shit and I have clothes in the winter. I have so many clothes in the winter. In the fucking summer? No, I don't have it. I don't have it. So I'm glad that I'm finally, getting that motivation back, but I've decided very intentionally to not apply to more jobs right now because I can't take it right now. I can, but I recognize that it has drained me so much. Like no human being should be exposed to like that much rejection, I guess. And like if you don't put yourself out there, you're not living. If you don't get rejected, you're not living. But like I've applied to over 2,000 jobs. I've had less than 50 interviews. And of those interviews, I've gotten 0 offers. And only half of them called me back to say they were going in a different direction. And some of them were just like really, I had one that was really heartbreaking that like they moved me through the interview and were basically like going to create my offer. And then they had someone within their company apply for the role. And they were like, hey, I'm so sorry, but like we have to give it to the person that's already working for us. But like if another one opens, we'll give it to you. And I was like, hey, thanks. That sucks, And I was like, I feel like I'm tasting freedom of like, I'm going to get to go home and have dinner with my boyfriend every night. I'm going to have flexibility in what I do. And, just kidding. Actually, nope. Yeah, just kidding. And then on top of it, again, I got physically sick from like the levels of stress and everything and not taking care of myself the way that I should have. I did not stop shitting my brains out essentially for 3 straight weeks. To the point that like I had to go to the ER to be like, am I dying? Like, what is going on? This is fucking crazy. And, talked to a couple different doctors who just essentially got to the point that they were like, yeah, I don't know. Like, okay, cool. Thanks. Great. You're no help to me. That's great. So then I decided actually, because I was so sick, I decided to go see a Chinese medicine specialist, so like a Eastern medicine practitioner. And let me tell you, I got some acupuncture, and that fucking acupuncture was amazing. Like I was feeling it when they stuck me, which I was like, I guess that's how I know that it's working, because it's like it's only in certain spots of what they're putting in. They put in 6 on my arms, 6 on my legs, like 12 in my head and my neck and my back. Because I was having really bad neck pain, because I was like, I don't know what it is, but this like whole side of my neck was like rock hard and it was so painful. And I'm not even kidding. Later on in that day, like I could move my neck again. And I was like, I haven't been able to move my neck in 2 weeks. This is fucking crazy. But also here we are. Yeah, let me get on this shit. But back to the doctor, explained to her all of the things, and she was like, yeah, cool, like we can prescribe you something. And so I get to start a new medicine, which I'm really excited about. I'm really grateful. I'm really hopeful, you know? I also, fun fact, okay, so like a year ago, you guys, I was recording and I made an episode where I said I'm putting it on the record because I've been talking about it for years that I want a summer camp wedding. I want to get married at a summer camp. I want a bonfire at the end of the night. I want everybody staying in the cabins. I want a hot dog bar at the end of the night and a s'more bar. Like, I want what I want. Well, I went to said wedding. It wasn't me who was getting married, but Andrew was in a wedding for one of his best friends at the summer camp that they all grew up going to. And I literally, like, the whole time I was like, I'm going to my wedding. And like, there was that, like, I mean, one, I was also like the week before I got my period. So I was like really struggling with my anxiety and just like intrusive thoughts and stuff like that. So I was like, I need to calm the fuck down. I need a Xanax. But I was like taking notes because I was like, you know what? Like, this is actually such a blessing. Because like, one, I was like, fuck. Now when we get married, everybody's going to think that we were copying them. But like, I have it on the record that like before I met you, this was my plan. And I took a lot of notes. You know, I think I've figured out some of the nooks and crannies of, you know, what were the things that I would do differently, right? Because there was a lot of things that I would do very much the same that they did. It was a beautiful day. It was a beautiful ceremony. They were such kind people. But like, I was a +1, clearly. And this was my first time meeting every single person there. There was not a single person there that I had met before. And so it was kind of uncomfortable, you know, like just from the aspect of like, I don't have anyone here that's like a safe person for me to be like, okay, like I can't expect my boyfriend who, you know, is seeing these people for the first time in a year, in a couple years. Like, he wants to go socialize with the people that he's spent his entire life with and that they've, you know, separated and wants to like connect with them and talk to them. And I am sitting by myself at a table and like, I can't be an angry person because I got left alone, because like that's life. Like, that's on me to like, okay, go make friends, which like I was really trying. I really was. And it just was, there was a lot of factors. It was tough. But it kind of helped me reaffirm that like I've always had this thought of like, I want the night before to be like cookout, get to know each other. Like, I want to facilitate that people do not feel like strangers with each other. And I feel like this was really confirmation that like that's a good idea for me. You know, do yard games. Like, genuinely, I think it would be so fun that like, you know, your welcome dinner is at the camp and everybody's checking in. So you're letting them know, like, here's what bunk you're at, here's how to get there, whatever. You know, your team pink, your team blue, your team green, and everybody gets, you know, your colored bandana, whatever. And like, we're doing yard games, we're doing tug of war, like we're playing for winsies, okay? And like, even better yet, winning team gets to go first for dinner tomorrow. You're welcome. Right? Like, how great. Loves. And I think it would be really fun, truly. But it was cool. There was definitely some like weird feelings personally of like, this is something that I've wanted for such a long time and I'm watching other people have it and I'm so excited for them, but like, okay, stay cool. Stay so fucking cool. And to make matters even greater, when Andrew and I do get married, if we do the whole summer camp thing, it would really have to be at that same summer camp, because it has so much like sentimental and historic value for like him and his family. His parents are in a photo that's like on the walls of, you know, one of the buildings from when they met, because they worked at this summer camp together, and it's like they're in different sides of it. And he was like, oh yeah, like this is, you know, like there's my uncle, there's my mom, there's my dad, you know, here's, you know, they're not next to each other, but like that's how they met. This is where they got engaged. This is where we were baptized. This is where my sister got married. I'm like, fuck. okay, now it really looks like I'm copying a bunch of fucking people, but I have proof. I have proof. I have proof on the podcast. Yeah, it's a tough one, you know? But speaking of my sweet Andrew Dingus, we've been together for over a year, which is like honestly crazy. I've talked to a couple friends that were like, it's actually fucking nuts that like I found my person. And I feel like that's like, I feel like it's like a dumb thing to say, but like, you know, the whole like I wasn't looking for the one. I was so convinced that like I was, you know, I'm going to meet that person somehow else. And it was when I wasn't looking that like it just clicked. And I feel really grateful for that. And, you know, it's been a really interesting year. We live together now. We, you know, are planning our future, and that's really exciting. And I am a control freak, so I'm like, tell me everything. When are you going to propose? Because when are we going to get married? I want to get married in like 6 months. So if you could hurry up, that'd be great. You know, and it's wild. I think I also hit a point where like I just assumed it wasn't going to happen. You know, like I feel like I hit a point that it was like, all right, like maybe it's not in the cards for me. You know, maybe I'm not going to find them. You know, and I have to be okay with that. And I feel like I found peace with being on my own. And that's when, you know, I found him. And I feel like there was a lot of time that I was really hesitant with him in the beginning, because I was just like, you know, this is just another fun couple months, I guess. And, you know, he was very clear with his intentions and vocalizing like, no, you are it for me. Like, you are that like special person that I can go through really hard things with, and I can celebrate enthusiastically with, and that I get to feel all of the feelings of life and know that I have a safe place in you, and vice versa. And that's nice, and it's lovely, and it's exciting, you know? So that's super fun. We go back to Florida to visit my family in about a month, and it is his first time going down to where I grew up. So we'll do a little hometown tour, and it's also his first time meeting really the rest of my family. He did meet my dad. I don't remember when the last episode was. So my dad came up for Thanksgiving. I'm sure I've talked about it. It was very interesting. He stayed with us. I hadn't told him that Andrew moved in with me yet. So that was a really fun moment. And I like fully had a panic attack. So I was like, this is going to be awkward. But it went really well. It went super well. We spent Christmas with his family. We went skiing. And I love skiing. I'm not good at it. I hadn't done it in 20 years, but I was like, yeah, I've skied before. Like, I understand the premise of it, you know. What is it? Hot dog, no, French fry, pizza, your feet, you know. Like, okay, I got this. And they gave me these skis that I could not stop falling. And then I was like, I'm going to cry. His dad basically spent the entire day with me, because I was like nonstop falling. I was covered in bruises for like 2 weeks, and he was like, you guys are either breaking up or getting married after this trip. And I was like, well, he's only mentioned one of those options, so, you know, thank God. But he was getting so frustrated with me of like, just do this and like lower your chest and center yourself more. And I was like, this feels fucking ridiculous. I know that this is not right. Like, this doesn't feel right in my body to be in this position. And then he was getting really pissed off because he was like, stop throwing yourself down. You're going to get hurt. And he was like, I'm so scared that you're going to hurt yourself. I was like, I've already hurt myself. And I'm afraid of hurting other people, because there are children on these bunny slopes with me, and I can't stop. And I'm going so fast. And all that I can do is throw myself to the side, because otherwise I'm going to hit the kid. And he was like, nobody's going to hit you. It's like, you're not listening to me. I'm not afraid of somebody hitting me. I'm afraid of hitting them, okay? I'm going to hit them, and then they're going to sue me, okay? But it was great. It was lovely. We stayed in an Airbnb with like 10 of his family members, which was actually kind of crazy, but also it was so fun. I mean, I think I also had fun because I'm not related to these people, you know? Like when you're related to people, like they get on your nerves a lot easier. When you have just met them, you're like, "Oh, this is fun. This is quirky." And it was great. We had a really nice time. We had a lovely first Christmas together. We were uh, dog sitting these fucking wild dogs. Sorry, I've also been dealing with like crazy indigestion recently. It's probably stress related. It's whatever. Um, but yeah, so many things have happened. We had a bunch of snow. We had a bunch of winter storms. We had a bunch of rain and wind and craziness. And I also got a Disney annual pass because I was like, you know what? I am fucking struggle bus McGoo over here, right? And what would make me feel better? I would feel better if I was sitting in Disney World and not here. And I have a handful of friends, like I have a lot of girlfriends actually that live in like the Orlando area. So I was like, what a fucking great idea for me to get an annual pass and I can get a Spirit flight for like $50 down there. And we can go to Disney World together. Me and my girls. And I've already gone twice. I've already gotten my money's worth. Actually, I've already, quote unquote, paid it off with the amount of days and park hopping that I've done, which I was like, good. You know what? Good for me, actually. And I plan on going a couple more times. And I love it. Like, honestly, it makes me so happy. I don't care how, like, cringe it is. I know that I'm a Disney adult, okay? And I know that I'm not, like, a, like, cringy Disney adult where I'm like, family happily ever after. No, you know what? I need escapism, okay? I need escapism because I'm tired and I'm stressed and I'm having to be such a big, strong adult for my entire life that I need a place to be, like, unwound and joyful and I don't have to worry about things. And also I feel so safe. And like, I know there's so many people that are like, if you love Disney World, it's because you love the idea of a walkable community and also it's like secure and this is what happened when we like over civilized and now everybody lives so far apart and it's dangerous. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely fucking right. I went on one trip. We stayed at the Dolphin Hotel. So garge. And walked to a park and then, you just hopped on the monorail or the Skyliner and you're going to all these, like, the transportation is so easy and, like, it's just pleasant. And also, I'm with my girls. I'm with my girlfriends. I missed them. I needed this. I needed it so bad. But I put quite a dent in my time off options at work. So, got to keep an eye on that one. But alas. So, yeah, that's about the gist of it, I think. I've got these like angels of light cards that I've been kind of playing with. I forgot I had them actually until today, and I figured, you know what? Maybe I pull a couple because the first one I pulled was acknowledgement. It says, look after yourself by acknowledging your desires and needs and taking steps to meet them. Examine and note your gifts, talents, and achievements. When you accept all aspects of yourself, you feel centered and confident. Then you can genuinely accept and acknowledge others. Become aware and nurture the good qualities of the people in your life so that they feel relaxed and happy in your presence. This wisdom reminds you to recognize who you truly are, an evolved spirit in a human body. When you acknowledge your spiritual dimensions, you will align with your true self and your spirit will soar. The affirmation is, I acknowledge who I truly am. I use ChatGPT to look at my birth chart and my human matrix, destiny matrix, whatever, and human design and all these different things. And I was like, hey, ChatGPT, what should I do with my life? Which, funny enough, you'll never believe it, content creation. It was like, you're creative and like a healer. And so like content creation, become a therapist, digital media, which I was like, I do love podcasting. Like, it does fill my cup so much. Like, genuinely right now, like, I feel so much better than I did, 20 minutes ago when I was like, I don't want to do this, but I need to. I got to do it for the people. And because I already paid for the full year and I haven't used it in like 6 months. And it does. It fills my soul. It makes me feel like me to be able to create. I love the act of creating. I'm designing things for my house and I'm building more of me. And I had to get a new phone because my other one isn't working super well, and have been kind of playing around with the idea of that. I'm like, I have now 2 angles to be making content with, which is amazing and so exciting. And I haven't been creating content the way that I want to because I've just been too tired to. And I deserve to do the things that bring me so much joy. I love hosting. I love, being with people and all these things. And, there's opportunity with this, one job offer that they're working on getting for me that I could go back to school. And I've, for years said, I'll probably go back to school one day and maybe I'll become a therapist. And, ChatGPT being like, no, girl, you should do that, and I'm like, well, what are, I think if I had a remote job, I would be rocking with it, because I'd have the ability to balance, right? Like right now, I recognize like going to the gym is hard because I'm spending more time driving to get there than I'm spending actually working out. And so then, when I have this like, okay, I have some free time, I should go to the gym, I start doing the mental math and I'm like, by the time I get there, I have to turn around and come home. So if I had a gym in my garage, yeah, I can just go crank out a workout. If I had a Peloton, I could just hop on the bike and do. So that's another project we're looking into. Oh my God. Also, I had raccoons. I had to get some raccoons trapped because they got back into my house. It was fucking crazy. And my sweet Tutalini has some bladder probs, which, orange cat. So we're spending hundreds of dollars on medicated food, which is great. It's fun. It's great. But yeah, so leaning into my callings and leaning into what brings me joy. And, podcasting truly does bring me joy. Toots is in the studio. Tootie is back. It's tough. Andrew and I have talked a lot about, maybe we get a van and convert it and I can, drive with the boys and my comforts because I love having a stove and I love air conditioning and I love having a bed and locked doors. So like, okay, there's an opportunity for balance here of like, he can hike and I can drive and we can, travel the US for a couple months and really truly explore and enjoy our life. And I, obviously have a lot of fear with that of like, well, how are we going to have insurance? How am I going to make money? And like, oh my God, you know what? If I can work remotely, I can do all of that. How amazing would that be for me? That would be perfect. I've applied to so many remote jobs. Fucking damn near impossible to get, which is ridiculous. But here we are, and I was like, I don't want to be self-employed. ChatGPT was like, you need to be able to be flexible with like your own hours and whatever. And I was like, okay, working remote. Okay. But I also I like a certain lifestyle. I like living with certain luxuries, I love air conditioning, okay? And in this market, air conditioning is fucking expensive. All right? So, finding that balance and, looking into it, I was like, if I, go into therapy, like I can do telehealth. I've always thought about going back and becoming a doula, which I was like, I could probably do both. Have a couple different things that I'm doing, but the problem is, they're kind of those things that it's like, you have clients or you don't, and, are people willing to do it, and A, B, C, D, E, F, G, if you will. But it is what it is, and you know what? Right now, it's getting better. You know, it's one of those things that I've recognized that like when I'm struggling mentally, I don't realize it until I'm out of it because it creeps up on me where it's like, oh, I'm just busy. I'm just busy and I have a lot going on. I'm just busy and I have a lot going on. And it's really stressful. And it literally took reaching the point of stress that my body was like borderline shutting down for me to take a step back and like breathe and recognize that like because it had been so long, you know, it's not like riding a bike. You know, the whole phrase of like, oh, it's like riding a bike. Once you know how, you always know how. You always know how, but do you know how hard it is to get yourself back on the bike? Because you're having to get on the bike and remember how to center yourself. And that's hard. And there's a really good chance you fall. And if you're already off the bike, at least I'm standing up and I'm off the bike, I'm not on the floor, you know? And so finding that balance, finding the joy in that. I've been doing a lot of thrifting. I'm leaning into my hunter and gather, roots. I'm out gathering trinkets, and I was painting for a couple weeks and just leaning into the creative of it all because I haven't done enough of that, and I'm excited to be back. I'm very hopeful that this will become a more regular thing. You know, I have so many topics that I could touch on, and I'll hold off on it because this is just getting back on the bike. You know, I haven't started pedaling, but my ass is on the seat, okay? It's a start. It is a start. Well, that's all for me. I love you. I mean it. And I'm going to try to be back more, okay? Be kind to others. Love ya. Bye.